shots. So whenever anybody looks like they're getting too close, I say, no nostril shots. Whenever you mention Channel 5 television, WBAP, to anybody who's over 40 maybe, they remember Harold Taft. He was our chief meteorologist for many years. He was the father of television meteorology. He wrote the book, and that's not just for our station or our area. It was for anybody and everybody doing television meteorology. Harold set the standards for that. He was, he was a colonel in the reserves, and so he, people would call him the Colonel or Colonel Taft. But we were, I used to tease him all the time. I said, Harold, I have more seniority here than you do. I went to work 2 weeks before you started. And so we were the best of friends. We hosted the Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon. I did it for 16 years. I think he may have gone on for a couple of years more than that. But when I'd be working late at night, which was often, and I'd be in my little office, and I'd be working away on a script or something, and Harold would come and stand in the doorway. And he stood in the doorway, not because he didn't want to come in, but he had to listen for his phone down the hallway in case it rang. He would, go down and answer his phone. But he used to stand in the doorway, and he'd tell me what the suits upstairs are doing. And it was always, some ridiculous thing that the suits, the management upstairs wanted him to do or wanted to change and all. And he didn't have anybody else to confide in. So we were very tight and very dear friends. I still miss him to this day. For years, people kept saying to me, you've got to write a book, you've got to write a book. Well, when you're working 18 out of 24 hours, you don't have much time to write a book. But I'm such a squirrel, I just kept things, interviews, and a lot of what I did went into Channel 5 archives, but a lot of what I did on the press trips when we would travel LA, New York, even abroad. We went to Germany and Italy and London many times. I would keep all that stuff. And thank goodness into my life came Eric Clapp, and he was still at UT Arlington. But they said to him, they assigned him as an intern to me, and they said to him, see all that mess around Bobbie's desk? It's your job to clean that up. And so he set up a little place down in the basement where all this stuff was in boxes, and started organizing it. And he is my archivist today. They're in the process of digitizing it on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, the Bobbie Wygant archive, you will see many of the interviews that we're talking about today. And it's just wonderful. And his assistant, Mitch Winberg, is just, they're together. They're just doing a fantastic job. Worth your time and a look-see. But anyway, getting back to the book, people kept saying, you should write a book, you should write a book. So I kept journals, yearly journals. Every day it was an entry, just a couple of words maybe of what I did that day. The way I kept saying, I don't know anything about the publishing business, and I knew I should, but, I was too busy. Fortunately, the person who is the photographic editor of my book, Talking to the Stars, this is the name of the book, met up with the editor of TCU Press. And they got to talking, and next thing I knew, Christina Petoskey, my dear friend and the photographic editor of the book, calls and says, I've got a book deal for you. They want to talk to us at TCU Press. I thought, a nice little book, ordinary book with some pictures scattered throughout. And after the first meeting, they get back to me, and suddenly we're doing a coffee table book. And we had submitted several hundred pictures, and they wanted more pictures. I said, Christina, the book is going to weigh a ton. They'll need a cart to get it out of the bookstore. But anyway, that's the story behind the book. What I'm so proud of, and I just went along for the ride and did the writing, but what I'm so proud of is that people tell me all the time it makes a wonderful gift because there's something in it for everybody. It tells the history of Channel 5. It tells my times talking with stars, many star stories, and a lot of behind the scenes talk, and it's in chapters. There's a chapter about the Beatles, a chapter about John F. Kennedy, November 22nd, 1963. You can pick up any part of it and read it and put it down. You don't have to go cover to cover, page after page. So I'm thrilled with the book. I'm very proud of it, and I hope that that many of you will be interested in taking a look at it as well. My dream interview can never be. My dream interview would be Winston Churchill. Now, that may surprise you. But remember now, I grew up during World War II. And the way we got our news pictorially was at the movie house when Fox Movietone News or something would come on. And I tried to go to the movies almost every week. And I just became a big fan of Winston Churchill. And I was just flabbergasted at everything about Winston Churchill. He did, though, I have to say that I somewhat identified him with my granddad. They had some of the same qualities. My granddad ran the post office at Lafayette, Indiana. And, he could tell you how the cow ate the cabbage if he had to. And I loved that about Winston Churchill. He didn't mince words. But anyway, as time went on, I started gathering books, and I have a library of Churchill books you wouldn't believe. But if I could have interviewed Winston Churchill, I wouldn't so much have talked about the war and all that kind of stuff. He was a beautiful painter. I went to his house in Chartwell, England, once when I was there doing work, and it was like a pilgrimage, and it was like being in some wonderful museum or cathedral or something, and touching his desk and seeing all these things and many Churchill paintings. And I was just I was misty-eyed the whole time I was going through it. It was just such a wonderful experience. So I would have talked with him about his art and about his dear wife. They were so dedicated to one another, and his home life, and it would have been that kind of an interview. I didn't get to interview Churchill, but I did meet and talk with. I didn't actually get to do an interview, but I had 2 meetings with Celia Sandys, the granddaughter of Winston Churchill, and she wrote a book about her grandfather. And I met her and talked with her in Dallas, and then I had tea with her in London one time, and she was so down to earth, and she loved her granddad like I loved my granddad Connolly. And so that's as close as I ever got to Churchill. But he will always live in my memory. I tell you, my role models were Bob Hope and George Burns. You know, they both worked. They both lived to be 100, and they both worked until the last year or two of their lives. And I mean, they were out there, doing it. Um, so they were my role models. I thought I'm going to. But here's what I noted about both of them, is that they they didn't just get in a rut and insist on staying there. As times change, and particularly television, look at all the changes that television has gone through. You have to be flexible. You have to, forget yesterday and move on to today and tomorrow. So I was always willing to do that, and and enjoyed doing it. Actually, I never got too married to what I was doing, and the new technology and the things you could do with it, exciting. I found that just wonderful. So I would say don't get too locked into your little comfort zone. Um, go with the times, and just as I say, just keep on keeping on. That's what I've done for over 70 years. We probably used up more than our allotted time, but this has been fun for me. I hope it has been for you. Uh, Laughing at some of these remembrances and being sad at some of the other things that come into a reporter's life. But I've loved being with you, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have.